The police started to work after a sniffer dog alerted them to some luggage with what appeared to be something of interest inside, and when the box was finally opened, they were astounded by what they discovered. The Beirut Rafik Hariri International Airport is the only operational commercial airport in Lebanon, and as such, it can be incredibly busy, with people traveling all across the globe. They see countless numbers of people passing through their terminals, and ridiculous amounts of luggage, packages, freight, and parcels are all hauled to every country imaginable. So as you can imagine, the security of the airport is of utmost importance. For this reason, they have police patrolling the building and private security staff keeping an eye on all the comings and goings. Police sniffing dogs, however, are one group of unsung heroes at the airport. These dogs have received extensive training to find suspicious shipments or bags containing prohibited items. It might be alcohol, illicit narcotics, or even cash. They have received instruction on how to identify bags correctly and what to do in the event of a find. Their police handlers know the signs, and if a sniffer dog points their nose directly at an item of luggage or a person while sitting completely still, they know that it needs checking out. It's a simple system, but one that is tried and tested. When walking through the airport, this dog was sniffing at luggage as he went. No one paid him much attention, knowing that the adorable little animal had a job to do. As cute as he was, they knew they couldn't stop and stroke him, as it would interfere with him doing his very important work. So the most people would ever do is give the dog handler a passing smile as they walked on by. But suddenly, the dog started to indicate that he had smelled something in one of the boxes that had already been checked in and was simply passing through the airport from one destination to the next. Looking at the shipping label, the police officer saw that the package was being transported from Ukraine to Beirut. Apparently, it had arrived several days before and was sitting at the airport awaiting transfer. The sniffer dog sat stock still looking intently at the box. There was no doubt in the police officer's mind that his animal had discovered something highly unusual and most probably illegal. It was very rare that a sniffer dog wrongly identified something, and he had never known his dog to have ever singled out a person or item of luggage by mistake. The handler indicated that the dog could go closer, at which point he hopped up onto the box. The box itself was fairly large, measuring approximately 3 meters by 1 meter. It was very much like any of the other crates that passed through the airport. So visually it raised no red flags. The only difference that the police officer could see was that there were several small, almost unnoticeable holes along its length. The dog immediately noticed them and placed his nose directly over one of them, sniffing intently. He let out a little whine as he sniffed. This reaction was definitely something out of the ordinary. The sniffer dog had been performing his duties for many years, and he did not have a whine in his repertoire of possible responses. It was obvious that there was more in there than just the typical illegal goods that piqued his interest. As he scanned the box from top to bottom, the handler scowled. Next, what should he do? As more police officers and airport employees gathered around the box, they collectively took it off the ground and placed it carefully on a table for inspection. The officers were very conscious that it could have been some kind of explosive in there, and any knock might set it off. The team handled it very slowly and gently, and as soon as they set it down, they called the bomb squad. It was good practice for the package to be scanned and checked over before they did anything else. The chances of the box containing explosives was very thin, as they would have no doubt been picked up when they were checked in and scanned at the Ukrainian airport. But still, they were taking no chances. Everyone left the room, although the sniffer dog seemed in a big hurry to get back in there. It seemed strange that the dog was so fixated on the box. But still, no one was allowed in there while the bomb squad made their checks. As they waited outside of the building, the sniffer dog whined and paced around wanting to get back in. The handler found this quite strange, as it wasn't like the dog to act like this. They had spent many years working together, but never had he seen the animal this worked up and wanting to get back to a particular item of luggage. This was sending up all kinds of red flags for the officer. What was it that was so special or strange about this box? What was in there? They were left with no choice but to wait while the bomb team examined the package and performed their tests. Thankfully, they exited the room coolly and informed the other cops that although they hadn't yet opened the box, They were confident that nothing dangerous, or at the very least no explosives, were within. They used a metal detector to scan it and discovered that there were no electrical components at all. That was very reassuring, but it left open the subject of what was inside the package. They had to choose their course of action. It was clear that the box was safe from a dangerous explosive or rigged bomb perspective, but it still didn't answer the question of what was actually in there and what had drawn the sniffer dog to it among all the boxes in the building. After some discussion, it was decided that they were going to slowly and gently crack it open, but when they finally opened the box and took a look inside, they were absolutely dumbfounded by what they saw. In all of the officer's years doing this job, he had seen many things: drugs, money, explosives, contraband of all kinds, shapes and sizes. But he had never seen this. You see, inside the box were 3 tiger cubs huddled in sawdust. They were incredibly small and looked very thin and weak. It was clear that they were suffering and had been trapped in that box for a very long time. No wonder the dog had been trying so hard to get back to them. They were scared and silently curled together, clearly taken aback by all of the light and the new people poking around in the dirty box. No one knew how long they had been in the box, but it was very clear it must have been a while. There were feces all around and the sawdust looked soaked with urine. There were parasites and worms crawling around the box too. It was a wonder that no one had noticed this smelly box before, as the stench once opened up was quite unbearable. The Animal Protection Services were called, and were soon on the scene to gather up the 3 poor tiger cubs. They were taken to a sanctuary, where they received all of the medical attention they needed. While initially it looked like the poor animals wouldn't survive their traumatic ordeal, it was nothing short of a miracle that they all pulled through. The tigers, 2 girls and 1 boy, were named Maya, Tanya, and Anton, and they were sent to live in a sanctuary that could really take care of their needs and treat them as they deserved. And thankfully, they were also kept together and not split up. As for where they came from, it was established by the police that the tiger cubs had been sold by a zoo in Ukraine. They were part of a 12-cub litter. And while it was a good thing that these 3 survived, no one ever found out what happened to their siblings, who were shipped out to other destinations. The director of the zoo was arrested, charged, and sentenced to serve a lengthy prison sentence. And it was all down to a police sniffer dog, who was just doing his job, and ended up being rewarded with tons of pets. So now it's over to you. What do you think about this amazing tale? Have you ever witnessed a police sniffer dog in action? What would your reaction have been if you had discovered these sad tiger kittens inside the luggage? Please share your ideas and opinions in the box below. As always, we want to hear from you.